ISO Joe wants the screen. Fires over White. ISO Joe knocks it down. Another Joe Johnson game winner.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Q Hicks, and I'm back with another video on the Big 3. From here on out, I will be giving recaps and reactions to the Big 3 games. I'm going to go through, give my player of the week, my moment of the week, and also give the predictions for the next week of the Big 3. If this is your first time on the channel, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. Now let's dive into it. In the first game of the week, we had Three-Headed Monsters versus Trilogy. The standout performer from this game was Kevin Murphy with 25, hitting shots in a variety of different ways, but Trilogy would pull out the win. It was pretty balanced for Trilogy. All 5 players scored over 7 points. Isaiah Briscoe didn't really play until late in the first half, which was surprising coming off of a 28-point game in week 1. He attacked his matchup, Kevin Murphy, the entire second half to lead Trilogy to a big win. Murphy was the only real player on Three-Headed Monsters that really stepped up with 25, but it wasn't enough. Trilogy is clearly one of the best teams this year in the Big 3, with some tremendous guard play behind Isaiah Briscoe and Jared Jack. Definitely watch out for him. Next, we had the game of the week in Triplets vs. Power, which really came down to the gray-haired assassin Cuttino Mobley versus the GOAT Joe Johnson. This was one of the most physical Big 3 games I've seen. Royce White set the tone early, getting physical with Joe Johnson, but he didn't play most of the first half after getting in foul trouble. So Power really relied on Cuttino for scoring, and he would come through finishing with 22, but it wasn't enough to take down Joe Johnson. This wasn't Joe's best game by any means. He had a very slow start in the first half, but he caught his groove in the second half and had some big threes down the stretch, including a 4-point play leading his team on an 18-4 run and hitting the game-winning 3 to end the comeback. He ended up finishing with 34 points, the most in Big 3 history. Next, we had Threes Company versus Killer Threes. The Killer Threes came out with a lot of energy. Josh Powell hit some shots early on to get them going, but this game really turned in the second half. It was 35-26 Killer Threes, and then Threes Company went on an 18-0 run. Jeremy Pargo went off. He was giving a bucket to whoever wanted it. Either it was a mid-range, a step back, or a 4-pointer. He was also the first player to hit 3 4-pointers in a game, while Chalmers chipped in with a nice 13 points. The one thing I worry about with the Killer Threes is that they have no true scoring threat. Frank Nitti tried to get loose at the end, but it was too little too late, and CJ Watson was out for this game. But I expect them to make a trade come mid-season for a spark, currently sitting at 0-2. In the first game of day 2, we had the Ghost Ballers versus the Enemies. This game was the Mike Taylor show. His energy was just different from everybody else from the start of the game. He got off to a fast start with 17 points in the first half for the Ghost Ballers. Elijah Stewart kept the Enemies in the game with his 22 points, and Isaiah Austin, the #1 pick in the Big 3 draft, ended with 15, but he got going late. Some big shots from Chris Johnson sealed the deal, while Mike Taylor would end with 25. Also, the struggles of Nick Young are something I didn't expect coming into the season, but he has to get used to the speed of the Big 3. His scoring ability could turn the enemy season around. Next, we had Bivouac versus TriState, and this was another game where it felt like a one-man show. Jason Richardson put on a display. In the first half, he was dominant, putting up 13 points and 12 rebounds, and TriState really came out with a different level of energy than Bivouac. Also, Bivouac just isn't that good. They might win a couple of games this year, but they just don't have enough. Other than Will Bynum, teams are not worried about anybody else on the court or on the perimeter. Jason Richardson finished with 20 points and 17 rebounds, and Earl Clark took over in the second half, and TriState would end up winning by 20. They have a really nice squad. Side note, Jason Richardson is not from this planet. He's at age 40 still dunking like this. Jay Rich.
Hey bro, what you on?
Next, we had the Aliens versus the Ball Hogs. This was the most well-played and strategic game of the weekend. It was a lot of pick and rolls, horn sets, pick-the-picker plays, and you don't see that enough in the Big 3, honestly. Usually it's a lot of ISO when they don't take advantage of mismatches, especially with bigs on smalls. But this game was well played. Leandro Barbosa was killing the Aliens, hitting threes, and he was quicker than anybody else to the rim. He's had a seamless transition into the Big 3. Andre Owens and Brandon Rush scored 16 each, and it helped the Aliens crawl back to take the lead late in the second half, but the Ball Hogs went on a run to seal the win, and Barbosa ended up with 27, and Jody Meeks chipped in with 11. Now let's move on to moment of the week. It's between two plays. Either it's the Jason Richardson dunk or the Joe Johnson game-winning 3, and I'm gonna let you guys decide in the comments. But to me, I gotta go with the Jason Richardson dunk. For him to be dunking like that at 40 years old is crazy to me. And for my performer of the week, I'm going with Mike Taylor. I know the Big 3 is probably going to go with Joe Johnson. He had 34 points, the most points in Big 3 history. But Mike Taylor's energy was just different from anybody else in that game that he played this weekend. So that is my performer of the week. And for the Week 3 Big 3 predictions, I'm going with the Ball Hogs over Power. I think Leandro Barbosa will have another big game. I got Triplets over Trilogy, which will be the game of the week, and I advise anybody who isn't into the Big 3 to watch that game. You get to see the GOAT, and you also get to see Isaiah Briscoe and Jared Jack. That could be a championship preview. Three-Headed Monsters versus Three's Company. I'm going with Three's Company. I think Pargo has another big game. Aliens versus Killer Threes. I'm going with Aliens. And the Enemies over Bivouac. I just want to thank you guys for watching. If you got all the way to the end, I really rock with you. If this is your first time on the channel, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter and definitely let me know what you would like to see next. And we out. Peace.